Cool.
All right, we're recording. Thanks all. This is Bitcoin Core Design Call. I think that's what it's called, number 53. And we're just starting the conversation. So the right when we started, well, thanks all for joining and anyone for watching this after the fact. Hebasto just asked that we draw a line for a V1 release. And I think that's a very good conversation to have. And maybe as a follow-up for that one, there is a larger conversation to be had about the future of this project. We don't have to figure that out right now in this call, but just how, it's out. Some people are testing it. They're using it. Like, how do we just want to keep building as we did? Do we want to do something different? Maybe some conversations we had. But what I think the line for V1 release, it's a good one. So what's the best way to do is just list out anything that's outstanding and just say in or out? Or do we have anything else to talk about?
For drawing this line, I think we should just do with what's there now instead of adding any new feature. So here's how I would draw the line. We have 3 PRs that we should merge. That's
which one of them?
Yeah, I'm gonna link in the chat.
Do I understand correctly? You're suggesting those PRs go into V1, right?
Yes.
Please tag it as with V1 milestone.
Okay. I don't know if I can tag V1 milestone, but I can add labels.
Why you cannot? I set permissions for you.
Okay, let me see. Let me see if I can do that. But yeah, so there's 3 PRs that we should add, and really they fix these UI issues that just make it feel less polished. And so I can. Okay, so added that. So added 289 to the V1 milestone. Remember traffic graph, it is fixing a bug within the UI, so I'll add that to the V1 milestone. And again, I'll also send it here in the chat. So this one fixes an issue where if you had selected a different scale, then you go back and then go back to the traffic graph, it's just a messed up graph, and this remembers the scale, so we should have that in there. And then the final thing is versioning, right? We still have version 22.99 within the UI. And so this adds proper versioning to it. Once we have all of those things, we can temporarily disable custom directory and versioning and then add them back in with 1.1. And so quickly touching on like the future of the project, 1.1 can be that like sort of new goal that we iterate quickly towards when a lot of the branches for 1.1 are already in the works. So that's how we show, okay, from now on for every release or every like little tiny release, we're going to move quicker and have that as a goal.
Does temporary disable working directory selection require a pull request, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Who will open this pull request?
I'll open it. I just quickly commented out.
Okay. So now we have 4 pull requests tagged with milestone V1, right?
Yes. And 3 of them, one of them, Johnny, you need to update the don't use the hover effect. I think then the other 2 are good, and then the opening up the temporary disable is really easy. You can do that during the call. And then we have V1. I mean, V1 could be tagged today if we just merged.
Wow, I agree.
Yeah.
Johnny, what's your point about V1? Do you agree?
Yeah, actually, I agree. I actually have been using it, and I think it works really well.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Yeah. My node is still synced, right?
Yeah, my 2014 tablet is just cruising. The last week it hasn't crashed, hasn't locked up, nothing.
Yeah.
The clock's working well.
All of us are so fascinated with running this stuff on Android. Do anyone tests on old desktops?
Right. Yeah, we're just testing on Android all the time.
Okay,
that's
I
a good.
tested.
I can. I have an old laptop I can throw it on too.
I have a 2013 Windows netbook. I guess I could try that.
On desktops, it also looks nice and works smoothly. That's for sure.
Mostly.
On desktop, I've never seen any issue.
Yes, on desktop it is okay. So we could focus on that for pull request, and also besides possible tagging today or tomorrow when it will be ready, I also will going to ask you guys to write a draft of a release message into a channel that we could discuss. I mean, release message we should be binded into GitHub release page. Probably you could mention main features. Also, I'd like if Christoph, you mention contributors from designers. We should credit people who was involved in design as well.
Yeah. Okay. Quick question: is the switching to mainnet part of this V1?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. We can, because we've tested that it works well on Android, and that's what people care about. And if people are going to run it, I guess they're going to run it because they want a mainnet node. But I wonder what everyone else thinks.
Personally, I would wait until we get that file folder selection working.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, because I think people will be I don't know. That's my opinion on that. Wait till wait till you can select an external folder before you do that, because that solves a lot of issues with having mainnet. But
Right.
Then we should certainly mention that in the draft release. This defaults to Signet. Mainnet will come in a follow-up minor release. Because the expectation will be that this is mainnet, pretty sure. But some people will not even know what Signet is.
Yeah, I did. Christoph, I did see somebody when you made your Twitter post on it. I saw somebody comment. I guess they grabbed from one of the PRs and they commented a picture with it, and it was Signet. And I think the person thought they were running a mainnet node because they were like, "Oh, it's Christmas," but it's Signet. So we do want to switch that, but I guess it's true if we don't have that custom directory picker, you'd have to sync with main every time you grab a new version.
Speaking of custom directory picking, what is the state of this task? What we need to complete it?
Yeah, so it's my fault. I think last night I did update that draft PR, but need to pull in Johnny's branch again. So Johnny figured out the pen side to have that working, and then besides that, now so I was working on this last night. There's two things left. One is simply to strip the first part of the URL, because it appends file :/ So we just strip that. Then we give that to str datadir within Q settings, and then we're done. So those are the two little things that are remaining for it.
I guess we should ship V1 with mainnet support, not Signet.
And so with datadir picking that.
Then it should go. We should
Okay.
prioritize it as well.
Okay.
Because shipping any release in Bitcoin software which doesn't run, we ship it for users. Signet, testnet are for developers, not for users.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Added custom datadir to the milestone.
Yes,
So really, there's two
top-
simple tasks with it.
Top priority at the top of list.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
Oh,
one round
thank-
of feedback with the design. But yeah, okay, so we'll figure that out. I'll prioritize that today then.
That's great. And
Yeah.
also
Dude,
tag it
well-
with the milestone, please, to make it clear for anyone who is going to review test our pull requests.
Yep, I added.
Great.
We do have some new people here. We have e-currency holder. He's also a presidential candidate, and we have Elena. And I think Elena, I saw you at Bitcoin Park, right?
Yeah.
Okay, she
Hi
did.
all.
That's correct. Hello, everyone.
So welcome. We're discussing tagging V1 and what's required of it. There's probably some background there that we should go over, but there's just a few outstanding tasks to have a V1 release. V1 release isn't necessarily the sort of mass release where we tell everybody everywhere, like, hey, run this. There's still going to be a little things there to fix. That'll be fixed with 1.1. But V1 has been this barrier, and so we just want to get that barrier down, get that V1 tag in. It's a real project that's moving. And so e-currency holder, he's a project manager. If he can find some time, it'd be great to have him help us prioritize, as we're trying to do now, but in a professional manner. And really find, okay, what's important for every release and get it done.
We'll see how it goes. But
Cool.
And sorry for being so quiet, guys. I finally got my audio to work, but I'll leave my video off for today. But I finally got my audio to work.
Welcome back, Mo.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So for V1, we've added 5 things now. Oh no. Okay. Well, 4, since we're gonna remove that PR that would remove the datadir. Although we're still
Yes.
gonna temporarily disable proxy settings, I guess.
Yes, it could be done. It could be disabled.
Okay.
What about the notification onboarding screen? And I forgot his name, but someone's working on this error message. Just ignore that one and put it in the follow-up because it's not.
Yeah,
essential.
those should both be for follow-up.
Okay. Cool.
The installation process, I didn't hear the first bit of the conversation, so if you already chatted about this, please excuse me. With the installation process, with the onboarding screens not showing for people who already had the Bitcoin Core installed, is there like a workaround for that one, so that they see the onboarding screens even if they have the older version installed?
Yeah, it's okay. So that's an intricate thing there because if you're just running the app, like let's say on Mac OS, you know how you just click an app. If it knows of any data directory, it's going to run with that. There is a way to reset that, but you'd have to go into the terminal and pass in a flag that says reset GUI settings.
Mhm.
That can be it's very easy to do, especially if we just write good documentation on it. And so people who have already had it installed, they can run it and go through onboarding again.
Yeah, I guess the other thing would be to have a new flag in the settings that says Bitcoin Core GUI TNG run ever, true false, and if it's not there, then show the onboarding.
Yeah, I kind of lean towards that because it'll be shocking if someone downloads Bitcoin Core and this brand new application comes up and it doesn't say anything.
Right.
Sorry, Gerald,
Okay.
could you repeat what you said about that? I'm just going to make a note here to add it to the FAQs.
Yeah, so right now, if you had already had it installed and you want to run and go through onboarding again, all you'd have to do is pass a command line option that is -reset GUI settings. But I'll type this out and send it to you. But that would be the way to do it for now. But I agree that actually we probably should have a new flag because this is a new app, right? And it's very different than the old GUI.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it a priority or anything.
Right.
Anyway, for now, the first step, it could be just document what users should to do to achieve to run onboarding from the scratch. And later we could introduce a dedicated command line option for it.
I guess, Habasa, the idea though was that we treat an installation of the current Bitcoin GUI different. So, like, if
Right.
somebody, yeah. So you'd go through onboarding with installing this one, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good.
Is there anything specific needed from design for at this time?
Yeah, I don't think so. We've drawn the line here. So the only thing would be with the custom data directory. Okay, well, this is the question I have now. There's two ways that this could be done, right? So if we look at here, I'll link it here. So if we look at the images in the PR description, right now that bar, that like gray bar that has the data directory, it's always showing. So does it not show until the user has clicked custom, then selected a directory, and then it shows? Or does it always show maybe with the default data directory?
I would just show it.
Always show it, and so then we're showing it with the default by on startup.
Yeah, just
Okay.
keep it simple.
Okay.
Yeah, I
so
can see
then
the
after
images,
that-
Yashraj.
Oh, what happened? Oh, maybe refresh, Yashraj. Should be there. It's just GitHub. Unless I don't know, VPN or something might prevent it. Yeah, but besides that, I don't think that there's any more design needed for that clearly drawn V1.
Are there some scenarios to test with the custom data directory? Like I select an external hard drive, then I restart the application with the external hard drive not connected, or I don't know, anything else we should try to test? Anything fragile?
Yes. Okay, so then that's another can of worms that I didn't think of there. With this new GUI, right? We'd want to take a new approach where we're more usable. I think with the current GUI, the GUI just wouldn't start, right, Habasa? Like if you were to remove that data directory and then it can't find it, it just wouldn't start, and you get an error until you figure it out. But with this new app, we'd want to be a little more usable where we say, okay, this isn't found. Do you want to select a new one?
If previously a setting was set and it removed, it should and it should stop executing with error.
Yeah. That's the way it's done now, but I imagine we'd want to be a little more usable, no? Like where we say, okay, this isn't found, what do you want to do? Do you want to like quit so the user figures it out, or do we want to allow to choose a new directory?
Yeah, I mean, you can't just quit, right? How would the user pick a different folder, right? So let's say, I have an SD card in my Android phone and I take it out, the application starts, it should say this doesn't exist. Either plug it in and then try again, or pick a different location.
I guess we could this particular issue skip for later.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And when the first iteration of picking working directory will be implemented, designers will be able to play with it and figure out the best user experience.
Another idea that I was thinking about was when we kind of tested the live version with the community, that installation process. What do you guys think of maybe coming up with some FAQ questions for any installation problems that we see that come up a bit more frequently for people? Like one with a command line, and like if they don't see the onboarding screens, just give people a bit of a place to go to if the installation process is not going as smoothly as it should.
So on bitcoincore.app, where it says there are a few things. It says provide early feedback, and there's another header that says feedback we're looking for right now, and then there's one called a few notes. Like older Android devices may not allow you to install the application. If the application crashes on start, so you have a bitcoin.conf file and all settings it contains are correct. Pull requests are likely set to Signet. The switch to mainnet will come soon. So we have a place for these types of notes and tips. Whether people look at this particular area for information, that is, they may or they may not. But we have something where that's there and we can point to, that we can add on to, and maybe at some point we need to move it to a different place. But for now, maybe we can just add it there.
Yeah. I'll try to come up with some of the errors that people experienced in the onboarding process and think of some questions we can maybe add. Something like not seeing the onboarding screen, here's what you should do, or I don't know, not seeing the loading, don't know how long it's taking to sync, here's what you can do. Something just a bit don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, no, that's good. Ideally we have for especially things that people bring up 2 or 3 times or more, that we just gather those.
Point them to the same place, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think any information that at first glance developers might be like, oh, well, you should just know, is great to provide to users, because, we've done a lot of that historically of not documenting everything because we just assume everyone should know. And again, we're taking new approaches with a lot of things, and that's another thing we can take a new approach with and just have that information there.
Yeah.
So what else? Yeah. So okay. So for V1, we have a clear line. We'll work towards that, and we'll try to tag it today. Habasto. So do you think keep datadir even though? Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna push the new functionality into 1.1. So keep the datadir and switch Android to main.
Yes. So switching to mainnet also required a pull request.
Yeah. Johnny, what are you thinking there?
maybe we don't need the data there for 1.0. Maybe I take back what I said. The only thing that'll catch people is that if they install Android, the Android APK with other keys, they're going to lose their block data. But is that a problem? Maybe not.
Yeah. So that's one clear thing there is. But if they were to upgrade the app,
If they continue to upgrade from CI, they won't lose their data.
right,
So, maybe it's not a problem.
right. So it's like it's not guaranteed. Like it's not 100% like you're gonna lose your data directory. But if you ever wanted to switch it, it's a little hard, right? When it's within the app. Bundle.
It's hard right now, but it won't be later.
Okay.
What's the hesitation with the data, Dur? It's been around for a long time, this tweak. Is it just very difficult and intricate or fragile, or what's the...
So getting it working is super simple, right? Then there's going to be a can of worms with all the different directories that people end up using. Like some people will use like a Samba, a network share, and then this will all be things we'll have to deal with. And then upstream, it is changing where we want to move away from queue settings for storing that and keeping that within the options model. So there's already a few PRs open upstream to change this. So there's just things happening. Also, there's this historic wait here where it just hasn't been finished, and so that's dragging it back. But getting it working is pretty simple. So we can take it a step at a time. It just works where it's setting within queue settings, and then after that, like iterative steps to fix any issues that people report with whatever weird drive they choose. So okay, we'll see, because I was working on this last night. I think it's very, very close. Let's see if I get it out today. Do we want to say, okay, this stays in V1?
I think we just plan for V1, try to do it as soon as we can, and if Datadir makes it or not, we don't hold on it.
Right. So we already have some things tagged. Let's get those through.
Yeah, get those through. Yeah. Datadir maybe, but I wouldn't hold up V1 for the data directory.
Cool. What does everyone else think? I wonder what e-currency holder. Should I keep saying that, or can I call you by your name?
You can call me by my name.
Okay. Andrew, what do you think about this idea? So V1 of this new Bitcoin Core GUI, is it necessary that it has the ability to choose the directory where blocks are stored, or is it not critical?
Yeah, I guess like my question is like, what's the goal for V1? Like, what are you guys trying to achieve?
To be a full node runner with this new UI.
Okay, so V1, you're trying to do the full node runner, and you're questioning whether or not you need the data directory because it isn't the scope. Is that right?
So I mean, we are going to have data directory choosing, right? A file picker. The question is, does that need to be within V1, or can we move that to 1.1? So as a user testing out like the very first version, is it just, so weird that we don't allow you to choose your directory?
I mean, the way I would look at it is the risk reward. Well, putting it, if you're saying that could potentially be done today, then clearly it's not a lot of work, right? And then including it, does that introduce any big risk? Like, are 10% of people likely to have problems and the app will just crash and they'll still complain about it? And if that risk is very low and we're going to have a 1.1 revision in a few weeks anyways, then maybe just go for it. But, I mean, that's just how I would weigh it off.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Yeah, there could definitely be new issues introduced with it. although the work to get it working definitely isn't a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're not gonna take this one point, this V1 thing, and make a huge deal about it and write Bitcoin magazine articles or so or anything, right? So if it's more of a low key thing, then and you're not comfortable with it, then I would just wait for it and try to do it proper and test it proper.
Right. Yeah. I guess in
Yeah.
parallel, right? We V1 is really just merging now. But
Yeah.
yeah, continue to work on that. And then going into the future of the project, we're really at the point where what we need to be focusing on is the wallet. So, Christoph, I wonder if you wanted to move to that, or if you wanted to touch any other topics first.
I had lunch with Tancred, who he was at Lightning Labs and now at Swan, Lightning developer, and he asked specifically about connecting other wallets to this, like whether the port is available, you could connect the Lightning node, and I feel like someone else, and I think Johnny, who seems you're just very still, looked like you were frozen for a second. I think you also looked into this, like allowing you to connect to this node, having a QR code. Or so. I'm wondering if there's a bunch of follow-up features that will for stability and other things that will keep everyone busy for a few months, or if we see that as very low, so like not much to do, and that means we would have to get more quickly into wallet. Like you could do the console. Weren't there some other screens that we talked about? Console, Explore, I don't know. Or is wallet really the next thing?
I mean, wallet really is the next thing. Of course, there is probably a million things that we don't know yet that we need to fix, and that will always occur. But just to guide the development, the console, a lot of its features are around wallet commands. So even something like that, of course, you can compile without wallet, and so then the console won't have these commands available. But a big part of it is around that, and the wallet model is the main engineering challenge that we have to do within this new project, and that is to create these models that work with the threading models within Core. There are certain issues with the threading model within Core, but that work around it to not lock up the main thread within the GUI. And so when you run the Qt Widgets GUI, most of those locks are happening because of the wallet model. So that's really the biggest thing we're going to do within this project is create these new wallet models. Yeah, Yashraj, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey guys. Sorry if my voice sounds bad because I have a really bad case of the cough. But I guess my question was like we are like talking about like V1 is wallet and V1 is like the Roadrunner, maybe the node runner, and the V2 is the wallet. It seems to me like right now the app is like the V1 milestone that you guys are talking about. That will mostly is intended to be tested by like advanced users, right? It's not meant to be tested by like regular users.
Well, I think so. V1, it's meant to be really for us to get this development milestone actually just done, right? It's official, it's in the history books. And then something like 1.1 would be for anyone to test, right? I mean, definitely not for just advanced users. We want this to be accessible to, the most non-advanced user.
So I'll just say I find that the terms advanced and non-advanced users just not very helpful.
Right.
I think the use case is this is great for anyone who wants to run a node and they have an Android phone or a desktop. That's it. If that's something that's useful in their life, that's it. But they can't do anything with it yet. Then you open up new use cases. You add a console and an Explorer. that opens up new use cases for developers. So you bring in more people. Those are, of course, people who have their head very deeply into this thing. Then if you add wallet features, then you open it up to different types of people. And ideally, it's always all of those allow you the appropriate audience for who you develop this specific feature set, that it works for them. Like the console, we're not going to have an introduction to how terminals work. We're expecting that developers understand how terminals work and consoles work, right? Because that is their level. But when we introduce a single sig wallets or so, then we'll try to make that super broadly available. So I would just split it up in like by specific feature or thing that we're doing. And yeah, right now I think for just running a node and looking at it, it's probably a pretty small group of people that we're looking at here.
Yeah, so I think I agree on like the characterization of like an advanced user versus like a regular user. I just guess because in my mind, like the threshold for the issues we solve before we have it for like general audience is is a bit different than the threshold I have for like the initial alpha testing, or like however you want to call it, right? I mean, a lot of UI improvements is something that maybe the devs don't really care about.
Yeah.
But general users definitely care about those. Like for example, if it Uday said that, yeah, so we won. I think the remaining effort for that is the three PRs, and that's it, right? And like that is roughly what he said. But
Yeah.
if it was for the general audience who would use like the GUI and like just like that part and are not technical, maybe I would suggest that we look at the issues in the two repositories that we have, and we might like choose some items from them as well, right? And so that's the delta in my mind in
Yeah.
terms of the the general audience would should get a product that is like solving those issues.
Yeah, I think that'll be 1.1. So 1.0 is just getting it out. We'll be stable. We're cool with it. Then people are going to have a bunch of problems, which some of them they already told us, and we've found out, and we'll put that into 1.1. And at that point, there should be fairly few problems people encounter just by turning this thing on and clicking through onboarding and looking at a block clock.
Yeah, I mean, if that is the criteria and we all agree on it, like that makes me super happy, right? Because then we know, like at least I know what is what, you know. Because I think Mia faced like an issue when she like tried to install the app, the QML app, and she ended up installing the legacy app, right? I mean, for the public, it's like even the documentation is very different, and the way they complain is very different. So
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to like highlight that.
So we have about 15 minutes left. So I wanted to, I think for the wallet features, it's always best when design is really far ahead of development. And that doesn't mean that designers are working on their own in Figma silo or something, but that means designs are figured out and everyone, developers, everyone, copywriters have had time to review and give feedback and is pretty much happy. So when development comes around, it's really just a matter of replicating exactly what's there, because all of the designing is planning in a lot of ways, and all the planning then just has been done. So I think working ahead for the wallet features and starting that very quickly is probably a good idea. And then it just allows everyone to wrap their head around what's coming up, giving feedback. And then, we'll always have to tweak things as we uncover things during development. But so I think we should totally tick that off. I would also like to put a bit of a plan around it with calls and just how to go about this whole thing. Maybe try to guess at some initial scope, like what version 1 of the wallet would mean, and then how to layer all of this stuff and document it and discuss it properly, maybe with some technical specifications and stuff like that, knowing that it will probably change over time. But yeah, I think that's a very good idea to start that in a pretty organized way. But what does Andrew here think as our janitor in chief?
Andrew's our product manager. It's official. There's no escaping.
Oh my gosh.
Andrew, you've just been crowned. You cannot escape now. But I have to go soon, guys, as well, so I'll be jumping.
Need someone to help with project management. That's the weakest part of the project right now.
It definitely is.
We have too many things we want to do, and we need help prioritizing, or even like tooling to help prioritizing. Like we don't even have a good place where we can look at like what is our current list of tasks, what's ready to go for next things, and we haven't. The line we have keeps moving every meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the bummer.
Yeah.
I mean, agile development.
That's what it is. It's project management, and it's fun being a developer and just getting to do free for alls. But things don't get released then.
Right.
Well, I saw that you guys had a project, GitHub projects. Is that like up to date or not so much?
Our problem with that is permissioning. That I don't think anyone can actually use it.
I still don't think I can use that.
Yeah, so that that was our first thought, and we kind of started doing it, but then no one had permission, so we got stuck with that. So I don't know if that's going to be a good tool. And it sounds like some like legacy things with like being a fork of Bitcoin Core.
Yeah.
That kind of block it.
The main permissions issue is that we are actually under Bitcoin Core, and if you're going to have permission to use the project board, you have elevated permissions across the repos within the Bitcoin Core organization, and so.
So how about this? So we have the design repo and the code repo. The code repo is tied to core, so that makes it a little bit more tricky. But we also have the design repo, and in bitcoincore.app, where we have a list of how to provide feedback. Fill out this form, describe user experience problem in the design repo, post technical issues in the code repo. We already distinguish between that a bit. So maybe for this type of design and scoping stuff, we just use the design repo where it's a little bit more free for all and it can be a little bit more messy and with permissions and whatnot. And then when things get really, more specific and hands-on and coding level stuff, then we move to the code repo, which would then also keep some of the general feedback and discussion things out of the code repo, which might keep that one actually cleaner.
If I'm understanding what you're saying, right, we just kind of move the project to the design repo.
Yeah, just kind of the project level discussions, like what
features to put
in.
I actually think like we should start kind of treating this as a lot more top down, since this is design driven. Like I think the design should dictate all of our priorities.
Sweet.
User applications are top down, despite engineers always wanting it to be bottom up. It always works better when it's top down, in my experience, building user interfaces. So, I think I'm okay moving the project entirely to the design repo. It'll give us flexibility, and it'll focus on that.
Yeah, fine with me to have the project board there. But I feel like we all completely interrupted Andrew from speaking.
What? No, I'm just
okay.
You guys are doing such a great job already.
So, Andrew, your recommendation would be the project board?
Yeah, I would use the project board. You guys already have a lot of issues in there. Just keep that up to date. I think you guys can keep track It's a good tool.
Uh,
And then like when it comes to defining scope, it's helpful to have like a doc where everyone, like maybe one person kind of, this is what we do with Saving Satoshi, like maybe one or two people work together on trying to define scope first, and then they pass it around async so people can leave comments, and then on a call you guys can like figure out, oh, like we like this, we don't like this, and then from there you can actually move into cycles.
I mean, this sounds pretty much like what Pav always says about BTC Pay, where like everyone just wants to throw out ideas, nobody wants to organize them, and then just he comes in here and there, and he's like, okay, I'm just going to take a bunch of stuff, put it in a release, in a milestone or so, and then everyone gives feedback, and then that's what happens pretty much. So I think that's fine, like you're saying, with one or two people, just kind of going through stuff and try to group it in some logical fashion. And that doesn't mean that they dictate everything. It just means that they just started that process, and then everyone can chime in. And if no one's happy with the proposal, it can just be changed.
Do we have someone that can do that for us?
I can help with that. But I think it will be it will need design and development together, because we are tied to core and various things going on there. Some things may be harder and some things easier to implement. And from the design side, at every level of release, you want things to be coherent as well. So I think there needs to be some tag teaming happening there.
And a product manager.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, like obviously you guys are both, Errol and Christoph, are like you could do it, but it's hard to do both. It's hard to do the work and the planning.
Well, that means it's hard, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I just pinged Habasto, and we can have the projects board on the QML repo, and we can give people the permissions for that. But yeah, I mean, it seems like we're fine with it being on the design repo, so we can just keep that.
Yeah. So there are maybe we should have like a monthly scope meeting or something like that. Just put something on the radar where we just kind of force ourselves to revisit this.
Yeah, we should have a ceremony for planning, because this meeting is kind of overloaded.
Right. Yeah. We should get a design meeting, and then maybe a once a month general overview meeting. You know what I just thought of? It'd be fun if we also gave every minor version a sort of nickname, like 1.1 nickname Glamour. And so it's just like signaling again, okay, with 1.1, we're fixing up all these little UI issues, and we're going to make it polished, right? So give it like a nickname, That'd be nice. And so, we all have that in mind, 1.1 Glamour or whatever, right?
Yeah. Okay, there's stuff we have to figure out with. So pretty much everyone wants to have a bit of a tighter process. Sounds like it. So we're in control here. So I guess let's just make it happen, right? And we have people with very, very different skill sets and everything here, representing everything that we need. So I mean, if we don't do it, then it's our fault.
Right.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Sounds
And maybe
correct.
just having that ceremony will kind of fix everything. Well, certainly would help.
Why do you call it ceremony?
It's just from Scrum. It's just you have ceremony, so that's the word they use it.
Mm-hmm.
You have your sprint review, your sprint planning, your sprint retro. It's just the word that gets thrown around all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
and a lot of it's they lean on it being celebratory to keep people motivated. but it's a lot of that stuff. So ceremony is the word they use.
Nice. Yeah, Harold, if you want, I'll try to help figure out like issues in scope for V1. But let's get that project board ready to go. I'll have to probably hop on a call with you to figure out what each of those issues are, so we can figure out how to prioritize and what gets included and not included.
Awesome. I mean, that sounds perfect. We're gonna keep Andrew.
Maybe we'll see.
We're gonna tie him up. You're not leaving. No, but yeah, that'd be great. Well, we can connect and figure out another call on that. I mean, that can be the first ceremony, right? With everyone as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Shraj. Just because it's helpful for me because I don't have any context or insight into like what's what. I just need someone to like explain stuff
Right.
to me. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so
Andrew, you said scope. Can you elaborate on what you typically expect from that?
It's just like I don't know. Maybe I'll do like a Google Doc that kind of has a short summary at the top, and then from there, we can just like start itemizing issues that get included in this scope. And so the issues that's in the Google Doc is going to be less than what's in the project board. And then from there, we can create stages and move issues into specific statuses for like maybe ready to do, and then in progress, and then done, something like that.
Yeah, okay. And that's sort of like a task breakdown. Is that kind of what you're?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
sounds great. Let's see. Is there, Christoph? Is there anything else on the agenda or?
No, that was it. I just shared a link to the BTC Pay server roadmap where they just use these milestones. They put everything in this project and then they group things by milestones, and you can assign people, you can see the status. We use the same thing for the design guide. I think that approach works pretty well. Just have something like that, bundle it up, and then just try to work through it. Along with, you need in order to get to this, you need to have a bunch of conversations. And like you said, like for every version, you kind of have a goal. Like this is the polished version. This is the wallet import milestone or version or so, where you come up with these logical groupings or so that then allow you to to bring in whatever PRs and issues are necessary to achieve that. And I think that's where the conversation comes in. And then that makes it very easy to understand for everyone, like what the current goal is. And to decide what's in and what isn't.
So Christoph, it sounds like you want to have a board that looks very similar to this.
Yeah, I mean that's one option. The GitHub projects and boards are very flexible. You can view the same thing in 20 different ways. Some people prefer the Kanban board. Like you can look at this exact same information as a Kanban board too. It's just like a different view of it. So I found this to be pretty useful. Maybe other people found other things useful, and that's cool too.
Cool.
Yeah, some flavor of that I think is exactly what we need.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are exploring project management now, or like a tighter process like that. Even Bitcoin Core, they're trying that out a bit now with a bigger focus on what are the exact things we want in a release, and attacking them. Decentralization and decentralization in the process is great up to a certain point. Then after a certain point, it just kind of gets messy, which is what we've seen.
I mean, it's still decentralized. It's just you just kind of write down a bit what you do and communicate.
No, yeah. I mean, like decentralization in everything, even the thought process on what do people think like would be good. And so by that, it's just not even getting together and saying, oh, I think this is important. And so other people think this is important as well. Just complete decentralization where there's just no clear path forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on a, but there are various levels of human organization. A group of friends is different from a family, is different from a town, a city, a state, a country, and then global geopolitics. And at every level, at every complexity of grouping, you have different dynamics happening, and decentralization works differently, and different things are helpful. Yeah, I mean, all the people that work on this project pretty much know each other really well by now. It's
Yeah, it's been a long time.
yeah.
But yeah, okay. So we'll focus on these couple. So if we go to the repo and you look at the milestone, we'll see what we've tagged as needed to be done. So just 4 PRs tagged right now to finish up, and then we'll tag, and we'll get that done, and then we'll go right ahead into the next milestone.
Yeah, and let me know once that's tagged or live, whatever you want to call it. We can update. I can update the Bitcoin Core app accordingly.
Awesome. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap up?
I guess just real quick at BTC Prague, I want to have at Hack Day. I want to have a session about this project and just talk a little bit about it and showcase it. And at the expo, we have a Bitcoin design booth, and I also want to have a maybe a phone or so with the block clock running at the booth. So I'm gonna try to showcase it and get feedback and see what people think.
For the hackathon, with 1.1, we'll get the data directory in. In the hackathon, and this is one thing I've thought about before, is you could have people trying to build BDK wallets and then connecting to that local node. Although that can be an involved hackathon. I imagine it takes more than a day.
This is a hack day where it's just people do whatever they want, and I would just do a bit of a presentation more on the design side of it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Excited.
All right. Yeah.
Okay,
That
I'm gonna
sounds-
stop the recording now, if that's cool, because we're at the hour.